So let's get into some quarterback competitions getting underway around the league. Starting in Cleveland, that room is packed this offseason. Lots of competition. Shedeur Sanders was on FanDuel TV's Up and Adams, and he says everyone's getting along just fine.
Like, everybody's cool in the room, man.
Yeah.
You know, outside the room, people try to put us against each other, but like inside the room, like we know we won.
Okay, so everybody's cool. That's Sanders, Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, Kenny Pickett. Adam, what can you tell us about how Cleveland's managing this crowded QB room?
Well, this is the most interesting quarterback situation in the entire NFL, Hannah. And the Cleveland Browns obviously will give everybody a chance at some point this summer to try to claim that job. There are 2 veterans. There are 2 rookies. Each quarterback will have his chance. You'd have to figure that the Cleveland Browns will hold on to Dillon Gabriel. They'll hold on to Shedeur Sanders. And really, it seems like it'll come down to Kenny Pickett and the veteran Joe Flacco to wind up either winning the starting job, and the other one may not even be there and may be traded at some point during training camp. But I don't think today the Browns know who their starting quarterback will be. It'll play out over the summer, and like we said, there's not a situation that's any more interesting than the Browns quarterback room this summer.
Yeah, and I would add, Joe Flacco was a free agent and had other opportunities. And Kevin Stefanski, who had great relationship with Flacco 2 years ago, was part of the key reason that Flacco chose to come back to Cleveland, that he would have an opportunity not only to start, but would obviously be a part of that quarterback's room, which does feel like Kenny Pickett might be the odd man out if they do keep the 2 rookies. I'll say this about Shedeur Sanders because I'm on the morning show Get Up, and I know Greeny's big. I'm like, hey, there's a chance he can win this job. There is a chance he can win this job. But I've been covering this league a long time. Adam has as well. And of course, Mina and Mike and Hannah, you too. Yeah. It's very rare for a 5th-round rookie to start out of the gates.
Right.
And the last time I remember a day 2 or day 3 quarterback who really blew everyone away was 2012 when Russell Wilson showed up in Seattle and earned it every single day. He beat out the late Travaris Jackson and he beat out Matt Flynn. And he did so by being the first one there, last one to leave, and making it completely undeniable to everyone in that facility that he was the guy. I think that's what we're looking at with Shedeur Sanders right now. I don't think it's going to be, hey, let the best man win. I think he has an uphill climb here, and he's got to earn it every single day.
Yeah, and then it's crazy because it wasn't long before Russ led the franchise to their first ever Super Bowl win. It didn't take long there, but that is very true. We did the same thing at Wisconsin. All right, let's go to Chicago. Excerpts from ESPN senior writer Seth Wickersham's book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, has highlighted some of the struggles that Caleb Williams experienced in his rookie season. The book revealed Caleb's father, Carl Williams, did not want his son to be selected by the Bears because Chicago was, quote, where quarterbacks go to die. New head coach Ben Johnson was asked about it yesterday.
I love it. I love it. I love the opportunity to come on in and change that narrative. That's where great stories are written. And so we're looking to write a new chapter here, 2025 Chicago Bears, and looking forward to the future.
All right, so we're a glass half full kind of show. All right, so we're going to look at this rookie season. Caleb did do a good job of limiting turnovers, 3rd best interception percentage, 6th best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL. He also showed off his legs, 7th most rushing yards by a quarterback. But of course, the negative here, he did have the worst QBR, throwing 20 yards downfield and on 3rd down. Plus, he took the most sacks, and we know that that's not all the fault of the offensive line, can also be the quarterback as well. How do you think Mina Ben Johnson can help him this season?
There's a lot of things he's got to improve at. Number one is just play faster. And to go back to your glass half full view, the games where he did play fast, he looked great. Think about Jacksonville, Green Bay, Minnesota, weeks 11 and 12. You saw that when he was getting rid of the ball quickly, he was accurate, decisive, and then special when he had to be. The problem was there were too many points in the season where it felt like he wasn't trusting what was in front of him, wasn't throwing with anticipation, wasn't throwing the ball over the middle of the field. So for Ben Johnson and the skill players, by the way, it's all about rebuilding that trust in the structure of the offense so that he can play on time. That means when you use motion to displace a second-level defender so that Caleb knows, okay, if I rip it here, I have my right receiver has leverage. Or when he turns his back to the defense off of play action and then he turns around, the dig is going to uncover the way it so often did in Detroit. if they can build that around him and he can develop trust in it, that's where I think success is going to come from.
And it's so interesting, Mina, because as a head coach, Ben Johnson not only has to worry about all the things that you just talked about, but also how he addresses the media, the kinds of things he says at the mic. What did you make of what he said, Peter, about changing the narrative?
I think it's interesting. I think everyone looks at Ben Johnson when he was a Lions coordinator and sees this cerebral guy, maybe a brainiac, not a social guy, and maybe not the best emotional EQ just because we hadn't seen him. And in his first 9 months or 6 months with the Chicago Bears and the media, you hear guys on the actual Zoom call being like, I love this guy. He's talking, he's positive, and he's actually connecting with these players in a real way. Truth of the matter is, Seth's book is going to be a banger. It's going to be a bestseller, and it's going to reveal a lot of things about a lot of quarterbacks. But that's ancient history right now for the Chicago Bears. They've got an entirely new brass in there, whether it be the quarterback room or the coaching staff or a lot of the people who are going to be on the field with Ben Johnson, with Caleb Williams. I don't think they're losing sleep over what's written about something that happened 18 months ago.
Well, Peter, wasn't that one of the questions about Ben Johnson, right? How he would lead, how he would talk to people. And then they played the video of him walking into the Bears training facility for the very first time, and it looked like he was born for that moment. It looked like he was a natural at commanding the room. He was very different than I think a lot of people expected, and way different than the perception that existed of him on the outside world. And he's continued to act just like that, and he is the reason that the Bears are excited about this season, because they brought him in there to help turn Caleb Williams into the type of talent that he is. With the #1 overall pick, they took him, and they believe Ben Johnson's capable of elevating his play. And if we look at the quarterback gurus that have been brought in across the league to work with quarterbacks, they've typically elevated their level of play. If he can do that, then the Bears finally could have a quarterback who could throw for 4,000 yards in a season. How many times have we heard about that? They've rebuilt the offensive line. They've added more weapons. They're doing everything they can, leading with hiring Ben Johnson, to elevate Caleb Williams and to make sure that he fulfills the potential that he had when they selected him with the #1 overall pick.
Adam, I agree with that. I have the good fortune of working with Ben in Miami, and he believes in fundamentals. If you go back to where the Detroit Lions were 3 years ago when Dan Campbell and Ben all got there, they were 3-13-1, but what they started to do is not lose the game, make your opponent beat you. And when you're sacked 68 times, as Mina alluded to, it's really hard to win games. So I expect this team maybe not to be flashy, but have great fundamentals. I do think Caleb Williams will have his clock sped up, and I don't think it's a coincidence, Hannah, that their first pick was Colston Loveland, because I think you're going to see a lot of checkdowns to him. I think that's going to be a way for Caleb Williams to get rhythm and confidence in this offense. And I think 2025 is a foundational year, much the way Dan Campbell's first year was in Detroit.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Campbell is such a culture setter, and you look at both of his former assistants now who have gone to new teams who appear to be doing the same thing, including Johnson, and maybe that's an added bonus. People might not have expected that of Ben Johnson. All right, coming up on NFL.
Hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn cách làm một chiếc mũ mini cho búp bê từ len nha. Nguyên liệu của mình đây nhé. Mình sẽ sử dụng 3 màu sắc len như thế này để làm đây. Màu đỏ, màu hồng và màu xanh lá cây kết hợp lại với nhau nha. Dùng kim móc len để làm. Và kéo này. Đấy, để cắt những cái phần len thừa nhá. Rồi bây giờ mình sẽ bắt tay vào làm. Đầu tiên thì mình sẽ sử dụng cái phần len màu xanh lá cây trước nha mọi người. Mình sẽ bỏ hai cái màu sắc kia sang một bên. Mình sẽ sử dụng cái màu xanh lá cây trước. Mình gỡ len ra. Đầu tiên thì sẽ móc một cái hình tròn trước nhé để làm cái chóp mũ. Bây giờ sẽ tiến hành móc này. Móc vào đây. Sử dụng những cái mũi nửa kép nha. Nửa kép. Móc xuống. Đây. Mũi nửa kép như thế này nhé. Bây giờ sẽ móc những cái mũi tiếp theo này. Cái từng mũi một. Để khi được hình tròn thì mới dừng lại. Rồi, mũi nữa này. Lần lượt cho mình là được. Tiếp nha mọi người. Mũi tiếp theo. Rồi, siết dây lại này. Đấy. Bây giờ sẽ móc những cái mũi tiếp vào. Đây, mũi tiếp đây. Tiếp tục móc. Cứ lần lượt như thế này là được. Tiếp tục nhá, mũi nữa này. Mũi tiếp theo. Đấy, cứ lần lượt như thế này là được. Bây giờ thì sẽ móc nối vào đây và siết dây. Mình móc nối vào. Siết dây lại. Đây, cái chóp mũ của mình đây nhá. Nó là một cái hình tròn. Cái hình tròn này đây mọi người gặp làm đôi được cái chóp mũ này. Đây, nó đang rất là nhỏ. Rất là nhỏ. Nên là mình sẽ phải móc cho nó rộng thêm ra nhá. Hàng tiếp theo thì mình vẫn sử dụng những cái mũi nửa kép. Nhưng mà sẽ là cái tỷ lệ như sau. Tỷ lệ là 2-1 nhá. Cứ 2 mũi lẻ, sau đó thì sẽ móc một mũi đôi. Đấy, móc vào. Mũi tiếp nữa này. Đấy, lần lượt cho mình. Tiếp tục